What's going on, guys? Aaron from Top Tier Gaming here, and today I am coming at you with an updated Harpie Lady deck profile, post sort of the set that gave us, the Harpy's Pet Dragon, Fearsome Fire Blast, the brand new Harpy Support, and now of course it's in a format post Mavens, where the decks around it are quite powerful, but I still wanted to really update this deck because it's a deck I haven't updated in a very long time, ever since some more got banned. And yeah, the new support it got, it was an additional card, and it's actually super solid for the deck. I think the problem is the deck still finds its place right now in the format where it struggles because tier limits are so powerful. But as a rogue deck in like most formats, I think this deck is actually a pretty solid contender, and I really love the new support it got, and it got a pretty insane 2.5 card combo that I will show you guys at the end of the video, so stick around for that if you want to see the combo. It's pretty insane for Harpie Ladies, and it of course comes with follow-up that's instantly at no TK. Before we hop into this deck profile, I do want to let you guys know Discord link down below along with all of our other social media links if you want to follow the channel more closely. Also, I'm trying to climb the 10K ladder, so if you do enjoy this type of Yu-Gi-Oh content, you like what you see here, feel free to like and subscribe. It really helps me out and what I do here on the channel. I try to upload Harpy content, as often as I can, but the deck, it's not a deck that gets support super often, so at the start of formats, I like to update it when possible, but it's a deck I really enjoy and I love to play. Without further ado, let's get into this Harpie Lady deck profile. So starting off, we're going to start off with our 3 Harpy Channeler. I would say this is now back to being the best starter in the deck again. For a while, I think Perfumer was starting to pass her as the best starter, and Perfumer is still one of the most important cards in the deck, but Channeler is the one where you have, your 2.5 card combo with, and you want to see her in your opening hand as much as possible with another name. She's a very strong starter for the deck, and now her effect that makes her level 7 comes up more often due to the recent support, so that effect is something you need to keep in mind because it is extremely relevant. Next, we have 3 Harpy Perfumer, which is a really solid card because she was the only thing, especially when Samorg was around, that could be almost a 1-card combo, because by herself she's going to get you somewhere by searching an Elegant Egotist. But now she's even better because Channeler is so often above level 4 now, which means you can get 2 searches off Perfumer extremely often. And you don't need to open with her as much as you did in the past, so technically you could consider running less of her, but you still want to open Harpy names for your Channeler, and this is just one of the best ones to play, so I still want to max out Perfumer. It gives us 6 pretty okay starters, and Perfumer is still the second best Harpy to open, because if you open anything else with her, she's going to get you somewhere, and that is extremely solid. For individual Harpy names, I am on 1 Harpy Queen, and this is the only individual Harpy name I'm playing of the level 4s, and what I mean by that is I've recently taken out Harpist and Oracle. I no longer play either of these. Honestly, they're just not good enough. There is one relevant thing Harpist does, but it's still not even good enough even when she's relevant. So I wanted to remove the sort of quote-unquote bricks. Why we keep Queen in rather than those is because Queen can actually help you combo by searching your field spell in some hands where that's the only way you have to pop your Hysteric Sign. Also, her being able to just send herself to graveyard is pretty relevant for the other engine in your deck. And also, she's just the biggest one, so that comes up against things like Inspector Border or just random big beat sticks you might play in odd matchups, because her plus the field spell makes her 2100, and you could run over something like an Inspector Border, and that could be relevant. But most importantly, she's better than Harpist and Oracle because she can repurpose herself even in your bad hands. So I think running Queen is still worth it, but the other one-ofs I have recently taken out for more cards, which I will explain as I get to them. 3 Harpie Lady, and we are playing the original vanilla, and we play the original vanilla because of the synergy it has with Mduck and the synergy that Channeler has with Mduck being a dragon. So there are some hands where you can still go for that line despite Fearsome Fire Blast being released. And I think that is more than reason enough to play the vanilla over Harpie Lady 1 or Cyber Harpie Lady. I think the vanilla is the best one. This list isn't on Unexpected Die, but that's another option you could play that gives this card even more utility. But yeah, I choose to play the original Harpie Lady mostly for Mduck. 1 Harpie Lady Sisters. This is something I haven't played in a lot of my previous lists, if any. I always just thought this card was a terrible brick. And to be honest, that's still true, but it's a discard with Channeler, so as a brick it can still be repurposed. More importantly, its level is extremely relevant now, which you guys will see in the combo at the end of the deck profile. Her being level 6 is actually the reason I play her, because it is extremely relevant for your 2.5 card combo. Also, this is just instantly a level 5 or higher Harpy monster, which does come up in some situations. I feel like back when Samorg was legal, this card was a lot better, and even then I chose not to play it, but you almost have to now because of the way you sort of play your combo. So I am choosing to play the one Harpie Lady Sisters. Now, 3 of the brand new support card that Harpy's got about, I guess, like 3 or 4 months ago now at this point, but it is 3 Harpy's Pet Dragon Fearsome Fire Blast. And this card is honestly insane for the deck. I remember making a video talking about this card like a year and a half ago, where I said this card would change like the wind attribute forever. You know, it took over a year for this card to come out. So, you know, that video definitely aged a little bit, but I do think this card is going to be crazy like into the future as well because of what this card does. It's actually pretty generic. So essentially, if you control a wind monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, so it's just a fantastic extender, level 7, decently sized body. More importantly, when it is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can send one winged beast monster from your deck to the graveyard. Now, that is the only situation where a card like Harpist could be relevant. However, I still don't think that warrants playing Harpist. However, there is another card in your deck that is super important to send off of this card, and it's sort of where all your combos sort of stem off of. But even if you're not going for that combo, it's still a level 7 dragon extender that can make Channeler level 7, which is pretty good because it means if you want to run rank 7s, you can kind of go for those as well. I don't think there's enough good rank 7s to warrant playing them right now, except maybe Red Eye's Flare Metal Dragon. But yeah, I still want to maximize this because it goes with the main combo of the deck. For the next engine we're playing, this engine has definitely gone through some changes recently as opposed to how I've been playing it for the last couple of weeks. Pretty new changes, and I'll sort of explain them. So I am on 2 Tri-Brigade Fractal, 2 Tri-Brigade Nerval. I think, hold up, I need to do it like this. Hold up, we're messing up here. Yeah, so 2 Tri-Brigade Nerval, 1 Karas, and 1 Kit. And I'm playing the ratio like this. So originally, and when I say this deck or this engine went through some changes, originally I was only playing 2 Nerval and 2 Karas because the Tri-Brigade Engine wasn't something I was like going for as often as much as I wanted to be just part of my Fearsome Fire Blast combo. And then Karas was just the one I wanted to play more of as the level 2, because if you see it even in a hand where you're not going for that combo, Karas can still be an extender and make your end board better. And so what I found was, you know, more often than not when I was playing the deck, I had better hands when I was drawing some part of the Tri-Brigade Engine. And then instead of the second Karas, I really wanted to play the Kit because Kit comes up to either get an additional Tri-Brigade monster in your graveyard or be something different to see than Karas for situations where that's relevant. Kit is actually extremely important, and so is Karas, both as one-ofs for different times where they're searchable. Fractal is actually one of the bigger changes because, again, I originally said I was playing 2 and 2. I took out the Harpist and the Oracle for the 2 Fractal because, again, those Harpy monsters aren't that great. They're more or less bricks. And Fractal actually gets you any piece of your engine while filling your graveyard. And that was another reason I added the Kit, is because I added Fractal as well. And yeah, Fractal being level 4 is relevant. All their levels are actually relevant with different Harpie Lady monsters because you can make your Cyber Slash Harpie Lady with them. This plus Harpy's Pet Dragon makes the level 8. This plus any regular Harpy monster makes the level 8, and these 2 with Harpie Lady Sisters makes the 8, which is why her being level 6 is extremely relevant. So I'm playing 6 Tri-Brigade monsters. I think it's pretty important to run this ratio the more testing I've done with it, because you really do want to open at least 1 Tri-Brigade card. This gives you a really solid chance. And even if you don't, Fearsome Fire Blast can get you to Nerval, which gets you into your engine. So that is why we are playing these 6 Tri-Brigades. 3 DD Crow. Besides being one of the better hand traps this format, the reason we're playing this over something like the Bestials, which pretty much outclass Crow in most regards, is because Crow actually has very solid synergy, right? Like if you draw Crow and Karas, you can use Crow as an extender because you can discard it for your Karas. It's also a winged beast to use with your Tri-Brigade effects. It's searchable off of Shureg, so this card is extremely relevant in this deck, and that's why we choose to play it over something like the Bestials. So this is one of your more solid go second options in the format that's dominated by Tearlament, so you really want to be playing sort of something to help you in that matchup. And that is it for monsters. On to spells. We have by far the most important spell, 3 Hysteric Sign. This card is obscene. The hands where you draw this card and you're able to use it effectively, they just feel like you're playing a different deck, right? Because this deck, if you see Hysteric Sign, is an extremely solid rogue deck that can beat even the best of decks in the format. Problem is, like, when you don't see this or Featherstorm, your deck feels a lot weaker naturally, which is why I'm glad we added the Tri-Brigade monsters to sort of help with your first turn boards and, you know, breaking boards as well. But Hysteric Sign is something you really want to open, so I max it at 3 copies and I play a 40 card list to see this card as often as possible. You have a bunch of ways to sort of discard this card or pop it on field so that you can search 3 at end phase. 3 Elegant Egotist. This card is, again, just essentially emergency teleport, which is really solid. You get a Harpy monster on field, and then you can just get more extenders, which can either fill up your grave for Tri-Brigade monsters or like a Feather Rest, but also help you make synchro plays as well, because you can do a lot of things with this card. I mean, it is just like a searchable emergency teleport. 1 Harpy's Feather Rest and 1 of your Harpy's Hunting Ground. Both of these are searchable off Perfumer, as is Elegant Egotist. Feather Rest is very important in your 2.5 card combo I keep mentioning. It's just essentially Pot of Avarice that can draw 2 cards. Hunting Ground is very good in the back row matchups you might play against, where this deck can become quite strong against back row. That's what it's been notorious for, I mean, over 10 years is its back row matchup because of Hunting Ground. It's also a way you can pop your own Hysteric Sign, which is very nice. And I think playing 1-in-1 is super good. 1 Feather Duster. This card is searchable by like 6 different cards in the deck, so you definitely want to be main decking it. And it's part of what Hysteric Sign searches, which is essentially just like an FTK, OTK, like Exodia search, where you search this, Featherstorm, and Perfumer, which is just absolutely absurd. 3 Forbidden Droplets. This is one of the best go second cards in this deck because of how this deck goes second. So first, this card can be repurposed as a go second card by also being good going first, where you can set it and it can be an interruption, which is something really great about Droplets. Also, it has amazing synergy with Hysteric Sign because you can send it from your hand or field with Droplet and then get your search at end phase. Of course, if it's on field, you're gonna have to wait a turn, essentially, if you activated that turn, because Hysteric Sign works that way. But yeah, sending Hysteric Sign with this card is huge, which is another reason to play Droplet. But also, because of how this deck goes second and how you just want to OTK if you are going second, you don't really care how you like use this card. You can use Droplet, discard 4 cards, and as long as you keep essentially a Perfumer in hand or a way to make a rank 4, you're going to try to like win the game. So Droplet is absolutely insane in this deck, and that's why it's my go second card of choice. 1 Double or Nothing, sort of how I was alluding to how you're going to OTK the opponent. It's very, very easy to OTK with this combo. In Harpie Ladies, you have ways to destroy back row. You have ways to stop all monster effects. You can put this back if you draw it with Tri-Brigade monsters, which is super huge, like Ferrogy or Bearbrum can put this back into your deck. For traps, we have the main reason to play Harpies. It's, of course, Featherstorm. This card has definitely come into the limelight more in the last year or so, ever since, like, Bird Up and, of course, Fluandereeze have been playing it. You know, a lot of people called for this card to be banned, and, you know, when it's played in other decks, I sort of, you know, almost agree with the sentiment, because it is just an obscenely powerful card. Like, uninteractable, one-turn floodgates that just almost end the game are disgusting. In Harpies, though, I feel like Harpies, like, needs this card, so if they're ever going to ban this, they need to give Harpies something else to be exclusively used with Harpy monsters. But yeah, this card is obviously absurd. I shouldn't have to explain this. Everyone kind of knows this card is the best Harpy card ever. Yeah, honestly, just insane. And then we have the 1 Revolt, which I think is obvious. We're playing Tri-Brigades. This is sort of what we're trying to go for as an extra interrupt and follow-up. All right, that's it for the main deck. On to the extra deck, which is gonna look a little weird. I think there's definitely some altering you could do to this extra deck to make it more optimal. I definitely could use more testing. I've needed just about everything I have in here, but you definitely could add other cards and have the deck function in a very similar fashion. So we're on 1 Cyber/Harpie Lady. This is all I can fit. You just make 1 turn 1, and if she goes to grave, maybe you have Feather Rest to add her back. You probably don't, but maybe you do. Once you use her once, she shouldn't be relevant for the rest of the game, but she's part of your first turn board, and you can make her extremely easily. 1 Lightheart. This can come up in also pretty interesting situations where you only have 1 beast engraved with a Tri-Brigade monster, so I do play him. We play the 1 Imduck that I mentioned is good for your vanilla Harpie Lady, because you can turn that Harpie Lady into Imduck, use Channeler effect, and then Perfumer gets 2 searches. 1 Barricade Borg Blocker. This is essentially if you draw Hysteric Sign and you can't go like full combo to pop it, or you have no other way to discard it. Barricade Borg Blocker is really good for being able to get it out of your hand, and then once you search, you can also add it back at end phase to your hand to use once again. I've heard several times in the past that that's not able to be done on Master Duel, and I think it's a way the OCG actually works with how effects resolve at end phase. But in the TCG, as turn player, you get to sort of choose how your effects at end phase resolve, unless they like say otherwise. Like if something says at the start of your end phase, right? That's got to be like the first thing done. But as turn player, you get to choose how your effects resolve. So even though that doesn't work on Master Duel, that works in real life, so keep that in mind. 1 Ferrogy and 1 Bearbrum onto like the monsters we're going to be summoning off Tri-Brigades, or making naturally in the form of Ferrogy. You make her all the time to special Tri-Brigade monsters in your hand, or keep extending. We have 2 Harpy Conductor. which I find a lot of the times you have to make one in your 2.5 card combo that I keep mentioning. Otherwise, this card's like not that great, but when you use her for that combo, there's a lot of times where you need to end with a Harpy monster, and if something went wrong and you weren't able to make the synchro, you have to use a Tri-Brigade to make your second conductor. So I've had times where the second conductor comes up. I think you can definitely cut one of these potentially for maybe a rank 7 if you want to play one, but yeah, I'm on 2 conductor. 1 double Dragon Lords because of course we're playing Tri-Brigades, and 1 Hraesvelgr for the same reason. Both of these come up quite often. And of course 1 Shureg, which is mostly for your Revolt, but you can make him, you know, with any Tri-Brigade going second as well. Generic rank 4s, we have the Access Code Talker. This is Tri-Brigade essentially, but also Harpie Ladies, so it doesn't change the fact that Tri-Brigade loves to go for Access Code all the time. And same with Apollousa. These are just really solid generic link 4s you're going to find yourself making a lot. And lastly, probably the most important package in the extra deck is the Utopia double and the Utopia with our beautiful Astral Rare Utopia. Every time I get to bust out this card, I'm pretty happy. It's a very gorgeous card. But yeah, this is how you're going to be winning a lot of your games going second. You just make a 10,000 attack Utopia, and your opponent doesn't have back row because you Feather Dustered them, and they can't activate monster effects because you Feather Stormed them, so 10k for game. And yeah, that is the extra deck. That's going to be it for the deck profile section. Now I am going to show you guys the 2.5 card combo because I have mentioned it a lot. I think it's like one of the best things about new Harpie Lady with the Pet Dragon is the fact that it has like a pretty solid combo to go for. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the combo. All right, so now I'm going to show you guys the 2.5 card combo that you can do now with Harpie Ladies in the new version with, you know, Harpy's Pet Dragon, Fearsome Fire Blast. So what we have here is a 2-card combo featuring Channeler and your Harpy's Pet Dragon. And it is a 2.5 card combo because you need any Harpy name to discard. It can be your field spell, just anything with Harpy in its name, even the Featherstorm works. And then we have 2 blanks, and I have just chosen 2 droplets as like 2 go second cards to be our blanks for this combo. So starting off with the combo, we are going to normal summon our Harpy Channeler, and with our Channeler on field, we will now special summon the Harpy's Pet Dragon. Because Harpy's Pet Dragon is on the field, Harpy Channeler is now level 7, and we will use Harpy Channeler's effect, discarding Perfumer for cost, to special summon a Harpie Lady monster from our deck. We will special summon Harpie Lady Perfumer, and we will activate her effect. And because Channeler is level 7, that means she's level 5 or higher, which means Perfumer actually gets to search 2 cards with Harpie Lady Sisters in its text. And we are going to, of course, grab an Elegant Egotist and the Feather Rest. With the 2 cards now in hand, we can now take our Channeler and our Harpy's Pet Dragon and link them off for a Harpy Conductor. Now we will go ahead and activate our Fearsome Fire Blast, sending a Tri-Brigade Nerval from our deck to our graveyard. With the Nerval's effect, we will then add 1 copy of Tri-Brigade Karas from our deck to our hand. Next, we will activate the Elegant Egotist because we control a Harpie Lady on the field, being, Perfumer or Conductor in this case. And we're going to go ahead and special summon Harpie Ladies Sisters from our deck to our field. Now, we're actually going to want to summon this in this zone over here, I'm pretty sure, thinking about my combo line. Yeah, your zones are important because you are playing Tri-Brigade, so you do need to keep your zones somewhat in mind here. And then we are going to link off the Perfumer and the Conductor for a copy of Farajit. Now with Farajit on the field, we can special summon, or this is in graveyard, we can special summon our Tri-Brigade Karas to our field. And using Karas's effect, we can banish 2, Winged Beast, Beast, or Beast Warriors in our graveyard. I'll go ahead and banish. The Nerval is the most important one. You have to banish the Nerval no matter what, and I'll just go ahead and banish a Conductor along with it. We'll banish 2, and banishing 2 will let us special summon our Tri-Brigade Bearbone. We no longer have need for either of these to be on the field, so we will now synchro summon with our Karas and our Sisters. Because Harpie Lady Sisters is level 6 and Karas is level 2, it means we can summon our Harpy, or our Cyber/Harpie Lady, because you're allowed to use a Harpy monster as a tuner for her synchro summon. Now we can activate our Feather Rest because we control a level 5 or higher Harpy monster, which we technically already did with the Sisters, but we want another Harpy name in graveyard potentially to send back. So we will shuffle back 3 Harpie Lady monsters or Harpie Lady Sisters, and we'll go ahead and we'll make it Channeler, Perfumer, and Sisters. So even if you start with a monster that, like a Harpy name that isn't a monster, you still end up with 3 in graveyard to be able to activate your Feather Rest. We'll go ahead and shuffle these back into the deck, and we'll gain 2 additional blanks, which could be used for, literally anything. More importantly, we are locked into wind now for the rest of the turn. We cannot special summon monsters except wind monsters, but you will find that that is perfectly fine in this deck and how it works. We can now discard 2 cards for Bearbrum's effect. And, we drew 2 blanks, so it can very easily be these 2 blanks. We'll just send them to the graveyard. In this case, it was a Perfumer and a Channeler. But obviously, this is a point where you can optimize your hand to try to keep the best card out of the 2 you've drawn and the 2 in your opening hand to find the best card in your hand to keep. But we discard 2 for Bearbrum, and we can special summon our Tri-Brigade Nerval, who is a wind, so getting around the Feather Rest restriction. Then we can activate our Nerval, banishing either 2 or 3. So if you're playing against tier elements, you probably want to banish 3, which in this case, it also depends on what you discard for Bearbrum, right? So you only have Karas as 100% an extra monster here. So you need to be able to have at least 2, so make sure when you're discarding with Bearbrum, that can come up. And if it doesn't come up, there's still a way to make some stuff, but it won't be like as amazing as you want it. So you do have to keep that in mind. But that's something that's just gonna happen naturally anyways, and in this case, we just have 4 in graveyard. Depending on how many you have in graveyard, 2 or 3, you're gonna wanna banish them. I'll do 3 because we'll say we're playing against tier elements, and 3 makes sense. So we'll banish 3 to summon Kreisfelger. You can also, again, banish 2, like I've been mentioning, for Double Dragon Lords, whichever one you want. This is better against tier, so we'll go for that. They're both wind, so you don't really get locked out of them. But this is much better against tier elements. Then I'll go ahead and link off the Nerval, the Bearbrum, and the Farajit to, of course, make our Appaloosa. And now Bearbrum will activate her effect in graveyard and will be able to add to our hand 1 copy of Tri-Brigade Revolt and put something back. So what you end on with that 2.5 card combo is guaranteed Revolt, a Kreisfelger or a Double Dragon Lords, a 3-negate Appaloosa, and a Cyber/Harpie Lady. Now, one thing to note is this blank right here is 100% the best card you've gotten out of 4 technically random draws, the 2 in your opening hand and the 2 off Feather Rest. So this card is probably insane as well. So you have one of your best cards plus Revolt, that's 2 interruptions plus follow-up here, an interrupt plus follow-up in Harpie Lady, an interrupt in Kreisfelger, and potentially 3 interrupts in Appaloosa protected by your Revolt. So that is extremely solid, and one thing to note is when you discard off Bearbrum, right? If at any point in your combo or in your opening you happen to draw your Hysteric Sign, you can discard it with Bearbrum, and then you're gonna add a Perfumer, Feather Duster, and Featherstorm to your hand, which is pretty much just like an FTK. If you see Hysteric Sign with this combo, it's pretty much just guaranteed FTK. It's pretty insane. But this guarantees your OTK the next turn as well. So that's, of course, if you see Hysteric Sign. In this case, we're pretending we didn't because then it's like a 3-card combo. It's still pretty likely, but it's not, super likely. So that is where the 2.5 card combo gets you that I've sort of been alluding to. Because it is something, Harpies haven't really been able to do before, that Harpie's Pet Dragon sort of enabled this synergy with the Tri-Brigades that really boosts this deck's first turn board to something that I would say is decently impressive. So yeah, that's going to be it for this combo. I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile and this video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe. This has been Aaron from Top Tier Gaming. Bye, YouTube.